Hi everyone, welcome back to Papercrafting Australia. I'm Tangi and it's great to be back with you again this evening. Tonight we're going to work on 4 gift tags for some Christmas projects and I know everyone's got Christmas on their minds coming up and it's going to be a great time to get some things out of the way, make some homemade tags so that it's not running around the shops at the last minute trying to find a tag or writing it on a piece of napkin and sticking it on, or as some of my family do, getting a Sharpie texture and just writing on the wrapping paper. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Just going to check in quickly just to see if people are finding us all right again tonight. I know my instructions and my links have not been too great in the last few emails that I've sent out, but it looks like we've got a few on board tonight. And it might be something that people are still having dinner or they're, I don't know, doing something else for the evening. I don't think the block's on tonight, so nobody should be watching the block. So yeah, we'll go from there. What I did want to share with you first tonight is just some of the feedback that you guys have sent through from your surveys, which I really, really thank you for. It's been very, very crucial to me being able to build the projects and the product and have a look at where we're going to go moving forward. So thank you so much for that. What I do know is that there's only about 70% of you who have done it. So if you can catch up, I know not everybody could make it on Sunday, but if you can watch the catch up and then send through your survey, you've received an email with the survey in it. So if you haven't got it in your inbox, maybe just check in your junk or spam folders. Mine often end up there. A couple of other things from the feedback that we've found so far. So I've got about a third of you said that last week's class was too easy. I'm so sorry. Hopefully tonight will be a little bit more of a challenge for you, or at least give you a little bit more fun to play with. About a quarter of you needed a bit of extra time, so I've tried to structure tonight's session so that it's a little bit more broken up and there's a gap in the middle where I'll do a little bit of talking and you can kind of just listen, finish up what you're doing in the background, and that might help you to carry on and catch up kind of thing before the end. 20% of you said you would like to have some other colour options. So moving forward, that is a really hard one to make happen, but I'm definitely taking it on board and I'm going to see what we can do to structure something like that for you. The great feedback that I got was that 100% of you would recommend doing one of these classes to friends or family, people that you know who are a little bit crafty. So yay, that's a great thing to know that it's a product that people think they would want to hand over. And about 80% of you said you'd definitely do it again. 20% of you had a contingency on that, which was depends on what the theme and the style looks like. So that's great. Not every month is going to be for everybody, and we'll see how we go. People liked that it's they were able to be social. You can get in the chats, you can have a bit of a chat with other people, find out where they're from. You can ask questions, and I'll jump in there. Sharon's in there again tonight in the chat, ready to answer any questions that you might have if I don't seem to catch them. And I'll also jump back in at the end of each of the 2 split sessions for the project and see if there's any other questions that haven't been able to be answered or are just completely left field. So we'll have a look at those. I love that people said that their least favourite part of this was the foam stickers and the gems, the tiny little fiddly things. Everybody hates it. It's just a part of crafting. I suppose there's always one little thing that ticks you off or doesn't quite work. Not having fingernails, that definitely doesn't help. But moving forward, I'll go for some bigger foam squares and we'll have a look at other options. There are some liquid pearls and other things that we can use to embellish and put those little blingy bits on without them being so fiddly. They just take a little bit longer to dry, that's all. Some suggestions from you guys was that you wanted to spend a little bit more time doing some more stamp practice before last week's session, or during last week's session, which would have been great. I agree. Fantastic suggestions. You want to see what options you've got for doing things before I start doing it, so that you can kind of lay things out and have a little bit of a look. Pop a card in the box before it goes out for shipping, which has got some maybe photos of the projects, some information, a nice little welcome note. Complete misstep on my behalf. I did actually plan to do that, and I got so excited about my shipping and boxing things up and sending them off and getting them picked up from my home that I just forgot. So that's definitely on the list for next time. So look, it's been fantastic, the feedback that you guys are giving. I just want to let you know that it is anonymous. I've specifically set the survey up so that I can't I don't receive an email address. I don't receive any information that identifies you. So it's completely anonymous. And I want to do that because I want you to be completely open with me. And some of you last week, very rightly so, said, I don't want to be mean, but you say a lot. And yes, I do say a lot. And when I watched back last week's video, it was very obvious that I said an awful lot. So I'm very conscious of trying not to say that this week. It will slip out a lot, but I'm hopefully over 4 sessions I'll start to curb my use of that phrase. So what I think we should probably do now is head into the first of our projects for tonight, or first 2 of our projects for tonight. And that, if I get the right slide up, is the 4 gift tags that you see in front of you at the moment. So with the gift tags, look, these are just examples of what I was able to put together with the few bits and pieces that I popped into your kits. So I'll just move over to the camera for overhead so I can show you what I've got laid out. So this is basically what you've received in your kits. Almost identical. Some of you might have some slightly different ribbons. Oops, what's happened? Let's get there. Having a slight technical difficulty with getting my camera onto the screen. I wonder if our internet's just dropped out. That could happen because it is raining tonight, and that is definitely not great. Let me just see. Oh no, it might just be that there we go. Haha, back. This is what happens when you forget that your camera can turn itself off and go to sleep. So, as I was saying, you've got your ribbons. Everyone will have some slightly different ones. All of your selection of stickers, you've got some different ones here. Oops, kicked my camera. The stickers, some of them we will use in week 4. So try where you can not to go too bonkers and crazy with those this week. You guys, I think, have a few more in your packs than I've actually got left here. Then we've got the actual craft gift tags here and the backings, so for the larger ones and for the smaller ones. So the white pieces, basically for us to stick onto the gift tags, and that's where you'll be writing your greetings. The other coloured bits and pattern pieces, that's for you to be able to decorate and make them something amazing. So there's all of those kind of bits. The other things that you should still have some left over of is from the first week's kit, is some of the sentiment strips. So absolutely cut those apart and use them on this one here. I've still got a piece of that stripy paper that we used on the Merry Christmas card last week. Got some of my foam squares, the little mini panes in the rear end that drove everybody nuts. I've still got one of my little white circles. I've got a fair few of my gems. I didn't end up plonking too many on, and I know you guys were really good at popping your gems and things and blinging out your cards last week, so that was really good. I've also got this little scrap piece of the red ribbon that we used on the bauble card, and I kept that because, well, gift tags are quite small, and you never know when you might need that for a little bit of trim or embellishment or something like that. But what I am going to do, because I asked you guys to try and bring with you tonight, or get ready for you, the white tissue paper that comes in your kit, came in your kit, or was wrapped up your kit. We've also got one of the paper bags. So this is my week 3 bag, and I did, again, hands on heart, stuff that up. So with week 3, that one, I've just emptied the contents of that out, and you put the contents of week 3 into a different bag so that I could just use this paper bag for today. I've also brought along a couple of just bits of some scrap, oops, upside down guys, scrap Christmas wrapping paper. Everybody's always got those little offcuts that you kind of go, what do I do with that? I'm never going to wrap a present that's big unless it's like a gift card. So what am I going to do with that? Well, I don't want to say hoard, but maybe keep some things here and there, and just save them for when you've got craft time, particularly for Christmas, because Christmas comes around every year. It's we're always going to use bits and pieces. So what I'm actually going to start with is we're going to start with the white tissue paper and the brown paper bag, if you've got those, and we're also going to start with the red piece of card. and the white pieces of card for the larger gift tags. So keep the larger ones there. Pretty much everything else can go away. If you've got a little container box like I've got laying around here, I'm just going to sweep all of those off and out of my way so that I can start getting ready. Things everywhere on my desk. I'm sure your desks all look exactly the same. Has everybody had dinner? Or are you going to do what I'm doing and I've got my other half making some dinner for when we're finished? Having steak for dinner. So yeah. Okay, so earlier today I actually got some of my stamps out and had a bit of a play with the tissue paper because I wanted to have a look at, you'll notice that it's got two different sides. So one is a little bit, this one on the right hand is the shiny side up and the other side is the matte side up. So I just kind of played around with just stamping onto that, and I want to kind of explore that type of pattern, texture, making kind of a background, if you like, with both the tissue paper and the brown paper bag, and also doing some stamping laying over on the red and the white cards. The great thing about the red and the white cards is that if you stuff up one side, you can always flip it over and just use it plain or have another shot at it. So keep that in mind. So let me start with, I'm going to start with the white tissue paper, and I'm going to grab, hopefully you've all got a scrap piece of paper laying around that you'll be able to stamp on. This is the bit that I did kind of have a little bit of a play with earlier. I'm just going to flip that over just to protect my work surface. So I'm just going to lay out a bit of this tissue paper, and you kind of just can tear, make a little mark and just tear it off the big sheet so that you don't have quite so much. Otherwise, you're going to have 3 kilometers of it all over your work surface. And if you've got one of your big tags close by, you can actually tear a bit that's maybe just the same size or just a little bit larger than your tag. So you'll notice that mine going this way, it's just a little bit bigger. And the reason that I wanted to do that is I want to have a look at, if I stamp a pattern, I want to make sure that I can kind of wrap it around and cover the whole tag, which I didn't do with my sample one that I've done. So essentially I want to be able to kind of glue it down and wrap it around and have it completely cover all of that brown, and I can kind of trim that down. Okay, so that's where we're heading, and I'm just going to pop that aside. I've got the black stamp ink pad, and I've also got the red one. So I'm going to have a little bit of a play, because I've only done the black one, have a little bit of a play with both of those. So I'm going to get my acrylic block. Yeah, I think it has again, Sheridan. Just give me one sec. Is that better? Yep. I think I just need to get into, now you're probably going to see a whole lot of crazy on my screen. I think I just need to turn my screen saver off is the one thing I think I didn't do. Is it in general? Who remembers? No. Oh gosh, I wish I'd done this beforehand. Display and brightness, it's in. No. Alright, I might have to manage. It might die a few times. Okay, sorry about that. I've really stuffed this one up again. Okay, forgot a thing on my checklist at the start. So I'm going to take a stamp off my sheet, and I've got my acrylic block. I'm just going to place that down so I've got Let It Snow stamp there, and just kind of give it a bit of a push just to make sure it's kind of down and solid. Grab my red ink pad and just give that a little bit of a go around. Dab that on a couple of times. Now remember from last week, you can do a full impression and then you can do you can stamp it a couple of times. So for example, if I stamp, that's the first one, that's the solidest one, most solid. Then I can stamp it again and still get a little bit stamp it again, and I've still got a little bit of a ghost kind of there. So play around with your ink pads and just kind of see what type of level of ink you are going to need. And then once you're kind of happy with, whether you want your first one, your second one, or your third one, you can always stamp twice on your paper and then go onto your tissue paper. So if I do that, because I just want it to be sort of light, then ink it up again, stamp it twice, put it on. That one didn't come out too well, but you know what I mean? It's just give it a, see what you would like to do. Have a bit of a play with one impression, two impressions. Just keep going with lots of them. If you just want to make it a bit of a repeated pattern and you're okay for some of them to be a little bit darker and a little bit lighter, and just try and cover, I guess, most of your tissue paper and just see, see what you like. I mean, there's certainly plenty of that tissue paper in there. You're not going to run out anytime soon. So we'll just get a few more of these on here. I might turn that one sideways. And there's nothing that says it has to go all the right way. Put a little one over there. You can overlap them if you want. You could mix them up and have one stamp of each of your stamps that you've got on your kit, and have a variety of different greetings and things in there. So, for example, with this one, like I might put a bit of Deck the Halls. Let me get a bit of plain. Pop some Deck the Halls there, cozy and bright. Throw a Merry Christmas on there. But basically just anything you want to do to sort of fill up that space and make a little bit of patterned paper so that you can use that. Now, you can tear it off and have that torn edge showing on your design. You might want to stick it sideways, wrap it around there, and just have it a couple of sections. Tear a piece off there. Might want to have it just sitting like that. It might hang off the edges. You might like the rustic look. You might want to turn it long ways. I don't really know. Wrap it around and you've still got those nice kind of torn edges underneath there. Completely up to you with what you kind of want to get up to with making that little pattern paper. So I'm just going to quickly make a little bit more of this because I think I know where I'm heading. Might put it up the right way again would probably be a good start. So, you can kind of get 3 stamps out of it if you're happy to have different levels of intensity on there. So that's probably enough of that one for me, at least for the moment. If you're still going at home, that's okay. Just going to tidy a few things up and grab a baby wipe, just so that I can clean off my ink block and the stamp before I... Looks like I've cut my finger open. I promise I haven't. Okay. Give that just a little bit of a wipe there. And away we go. Cool. So putting that one aside, just going to move that out of the way. And I'm going to grab, this time, the brown paper bag. I'm just going to tear a section out of that. Bear with me. About that. It's about all I'll need to cover one of those if I decide I need to cover all the way. And this time I'm going to go with my black ink pad. And I'm going to choose Deck the Halls, I think is what I had. Repeat that process again. So just grabbing my... God, freezing all over the place today. Yeah, pop the Deck the Halls stamp on, and I'm just going to go and do that all over again. So this time with black, we know the drill. We can get 1 impression, 2 impressions, 3 impressions before it really starts to go a bit pear-shaped. You're not kind of getting the full print out of that one. So I'm just going to hammer out a little bit of this. So if anyone's got half a second to jump in the chat, let me know if you're keeping up or not. If I need to slow back down again. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Everybody's busy stamping. Okay. Pop a couple in here. I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody's variations on this one because I know that you're all going to have... That's okay, Sheridan. If you've only got a black ink pad, just use the black one. Some people ended up with a red one just because we couldn't get enough of just all black. And some people are hanging out in groups of 3 or 4 people, and some of them have got the red and some of them have got the black, so they're able to just share. So apologies that you've only got one colour to go with. You can stamp red onto brown craft paper. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so just going to clean off that ink block. God, the black just makes such a mess. It's terrible. Give that a wipe down. Give my stamp another bit of a wipe down. Okay. All right, now I'm just going to, while you guys are doing that, I'm just going to jump back into the projects just so that I can fix this overhead camera so that I don't have to keep turning it back on for you guys. So if you're just stamping away in the background there, have a little bit of a look at the images on the screen and just have a look at what kind of we were going for. It's not something that you have to do yourself, but it's you know, it gives you a bit of an idea. There's obviously some flat backs on the back, so the white backs that we saw earlier, and that will you know, enable you to write your to and froms and things like that. Every time I forget where turn off your lock. Gosh darn. Silly iPhones. Lock. Never. Okay, hopefully this fixes my world. Sorry for all the babble in the background, guys. I will get you back on deck. All right, I think we're good. Have a crack at that again. Okay, so back to my work desk. So you've definitely had plenty of time now to kind of make a white and a brown stamped piece of whatever you would like. What we're going to move on to now is having a go at what I'm going to do is some, if you've got it red stamping on the red card, or if you've just got a black stamp, just the black stamp on the red card. Just going to turn my workspace over and grab another. You can use the same stamp if that's what you're happy using. I'm just swapping to a different one just to make things a little bit different. And so for this one, I'm just going to show you with the one that I've got. Not all of you will be able to do this, and I do apologize, but just to put a red ink onto a red surface and make a little bit of a background on that. So I'm just going to stamp this a few times in different spots, and then I'll hold it up to the camera because it might not be too clear from where it is there at the moment. One more stamp. Okay. So doing a tone on tone kind of effect, you can see there that you've got the red ink on the red card. I'm quite fond of that type of look, but it doesn't mean that it's for everybody. If you've had a go at that and you don't enjoy it, flip it over. For those who have the black ink, I'll run one through with black on red, and the contrast, obviously black and red, best football team in the AFL, and I'm pretty dirty on the AFL at the moment, being that they're not paying performers and things, but they're paying to send 3 square metres of turf up for the grand final to Brisbane. Kind of defies logic to me, but anyway, black and red is a really good combination, and lots of people use it for all kinds of things, you know. Black and white pretty much you can guarantee will always go with something else. Nothing's going to clash with those. Oh, what a mess. Okay, so stamp that one off because I want one a little bit lighter there and a little bit lighter there. So the difference there, so we've got a black and a red kind of tag, and then a red on red on the other side. So depending on which ink pad you've got, you'll be able to come up with one of those, or if you're luckily working in a group of folks, then you have, you know, you've got the option to do one or the other or both. So again, just cleaning off my ink blocks and my work surface because I'm messy, and I'm just going to pop the lids back on my ink pads so that they don't dry out. I've not had an ink pad dry out yet, but I've never left one overnight before, so I probably don't want to do that. Okay, so that's the red tag done. Now with the brown part, this is something that you can kind of, again, have another play at if you would like to pop. I'm going to pop the Merry Christmas on this one, and that is, you know, stamp your black on. You might want it just in one spot, just in another, whatever you would like, and you can go from there. I'm just conscious of the time, so I'm going to maybe stop there with the patterning. You're kind of getting the ideas that you can put it on something that's a little bit see-through. You can put it on colour, same colour on colour, something quite contrasting, and also just using up the scrap pieces of paper that were in your kit. Nothing really goes to waste in papercraft. You can always find things. Definitely I've found stuff in, you know, chocolate boxes and things like that that kind of look like this tissue paper, and, you know, use that for, you know, putting on cards or making into tags and things like that. So you'll find paper everywhere, and you'll find different textures and different colours that you can use quite successfully. So be on the lookout. You'll find plenty of nice stuff all over the place. Okay, so now that we've got all of these little bits and pieces, what we want to have a look at is in my examples, so the big ones, this is essentially what happened. So on the brown tag, I just glued one of these white tags to it. Actually, I'll show you with this one. So I've just lined that up with the top edge there and just popped some glue underneath and glued it. Now, obviously, it's not the same shape as the tag, but if you turn it over, you can just use your scissors to cut that once it's glued in place, and you can cut that into a tag shape. One of the tags that I cut on one of them, no, maybe it was on one of the smaller ones, I've actually cut the tag a bit longer, so it hangs down a little bit further. So you could cut your triangle shapes, for example, on this one. If that was glued together, I could just cut this into here, and then from that corner of the white bit, oops, into here, pull that little tag out and cut those edges off. And then you've got, again, another little feature that you could use. So you can still write on this. So this could be your to and from side, or you can use this side as your to and from side. And then you've just got that nice little brown strip down either side. And then the little feature of the, almost an Art Deco style, I suppose, of just, if it was 3 little arrows there, then you would kind of have a bit Art Deco. So you can do that kind of thing to it. This tag that I did, I actually used the brown craft tag, the white tag, and I actually left that. I didn't glue any of these together. I've just left them so that you can kind of fan them out when you sit them on your gift, and kind of have that nice little run of 3 different colours, if you like. I might go back in and stamp something on those so that one's got a little bit of a pattern or a texture to it, like this one. That would be kind of cute, just to have something a little bit more on there. And then just adhered some stickers on there. So you can use your stickers in some pretty handy ways to do that. Now you've also got the great big Merry Christmas circle. So that's cut out. And you've also got this little pattern paper that goes underneath. So I'm just going to clean up a little bit of space here because I've got stuff all over the place. Now, with my Merry Christmas, which is, I don't know where it's gone. Yeah, I do. There we go, just throwing things around my craft room. Here's mine. There we go. So what I actually found when I was prepping this is that on my wrapping paper that I managed to get, there was this cool circle. And I thought, well, that might be fun to put underneath instead. So I can pop some glue on the back of that one and glue that down and then trim it around the edge so that it's nice and neat. What I did like about this piece was that it's actually a little bit heavier than wrapping paper. So for anything that you want to kind of cut out from wrapping paper and stick on, you might need to still put either that piece, or I've still got one of those square round circles from the spare round circles from last week that I could also pop under there, just to give that a little bit more strength, so that it doesn't get kind of knocked. It doesn't hang out too much over the edge there, but you might want to try something like that. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to try with these is I am going to glue some of this paper. I'm actually going to glue to one of my white pieces, just because I want that to be quite prominent. Actually, no, I'm gonna do it to the brown piece, because realistically, if I wanted it to be that prominent, I could just stamp on that card. So let's go the opposite way. So I'm going to get my little glue stick and just on this tag, I'm just going to pop some glue all over that. Got the nice purple one so we can see it will dry clear. Here's a little lid back on, and I'm just going to put my tissue paper over the top and just smooth that down. So that will just adhere that to the card, to the tag. It is curling a little bit, and that's what that kind of glue does, is it starts to curl a bit. Once I've cut it out, I can pop that acrylic block on it or something heavier just to try and flatten it out while it dries quite quickly. So I'm just going to flip this over and just cut that paper away so that it matches up to my tags. This might be the night where we don't get everything done. Been too busy making backgrounds and things, so we'll see how it goes. Trimming that, that bit off. And trimming that bit off. I'm just going to pop these bits in my little bin because I am going to get really cluttered on my desk right now. There we go. So I've got that little part, and that's got its little cover on. Just going to set that aside and just sit my acrylic block on top of that for a few minutes while I do some other bits and pieces. Now, in my kit, where's my other tag? So I've got my other one. Now, this one, I think what I might do is I might just make a little band to wrap around that part. I think. Yeah. So I'm just going to trim. I keep forgetting to not do this, or to do this on camera. I'll get used to this eventually. I'm just going to fold a nice little edge that's straight. And then I'll cut down, how long do I think? I might go to about here. Try and cut another relatively straight edge, but again, I'll fold that bit up. So if it's not completely straight or even to that, then it's no biggie. Just going to use my tag this way to get a bit of a straight edge idea. Something that looks relatively straight. Just fold that over. And then I'm going to glue that onto here and then wrap it around the back and fix it down onto that side as well. So it's like a little belly band, a little wrapper for my card there. So that means I'm going to put my glue this time on my brown paper, the back of my brown paper that came off the bag. Just going to run a little bit of glue again across all of it because we're going to wrap it around the back and we do want it to all stick down. It's all sticky. So just find a nice spot for that. Hopefully that's straight. I can't see because I can't stand up over the top of my work. I have to hold it up. It's pretty straight. And then I'll flip it over and just wrap this around the back. And do the same with that one. Now, the reason that I'm not particularly fussy about where this kind of ends up is that no one's going to see that. It's either going to be in a swinging tag, that's going to be my front, so, you know, unless people flip it over and look under there. But what I'm actually going to do with this one is I'm going to stick that white card onto the back of there, just like that. So you'll see a little bit of it on the edge, but this is essentially covering all of the messy make it part on the back. Cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to use, I'm going to grab my little, somebody called it in the surveys, the adorable little glue. And I'm like, that's cute. It's the adorable little glue. It's going to scrape off any kind of excess that I've got that might stop it from coming out. And I'm just going to apply a little bit in some little haphazard manners all the way around and all the way down. Just a few dots just to kind of keep it fixed on. And then I'll flip that. And I want to line it up relatively straight with the edges that I cut before. If yours isn't cut yet, that's fine. You can glue it down and then you can flip it over and cut as I showed before. So I'm just going to pop that on there. So that's one part of my tag. So I'm going to, so I've got glue on the front because I'll let that go under. I'm going to let that one dry as well. I think this one that we did before is probably pretty good. Oh, it's got spare bits on it. I can pop that aside and I'll use my acrylic block just to hold that one down for a sec while that one just dries. Now the question is, what are we going to use this part on? Well, it's kind of cute as it is. Maybe I could pop it there with the let it snow where you are. You can't really read the where you are, but it doesn't always have to fit. Yep, I think I might use that, and I might pop this bit. Who knows? Maybe a bit of green in there. A green hangout at the bottom, perhaps. Don't know. What do we think? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go that way. So I'm going to turn my little Merry Christmas over, and I'm just going to run a few dots of glue just around the outside edge, the outside circle, and the inside circle, just so that we can kind of catch all of it There might be a little bit of this glue that doesn't end up getting used because it'll hang off the side of that tag, but we'll flip it over onto the tag and see how it goes. We can just wipe off any excess if we need to. Cool. Okay, over we go. I'm just centering mine a little bit on the Let It Snow. I managed to stamp that in a pretty good spot. If you're kind of only just now realizing that you could have, stamped something in the right spot, that's all well and good. Take your tissue paper out, stamp things again, stick it to the back side of your card and put your circle over that one. You could always save stuff like that because you've got a second side. So there's that one there and this one here. I think with this one, I think maybe I might make this a 3-piece one and I might put the green in under with the red and just leave them. Because I stamped that on both sides, that can be the back one, because if people do turn it over, like, you're at least going to see something. But it's then also got the red on red matching with the red on red there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to glue them together, but I am going to try and get these top edges trimmed off so that they kind of match. And then on my bottom one, I'm just going to do like I did with the white one before, just to leave a little bit of that green showing. You might want to leave it completely whole as it is and stick one of your little stickers on this little bit in the middle. There's a few little round stickers and things like that going on. But I'm just going to trim mine off. Pop that out. And then I'll do the same. I might leave the red one showing through actually. So I'll just chop the 2 little corners off on him. Okay, so this one I'm pretty much ready to put together. So we've got the 3 layers there. So I've got my Merry Christmas, my little Let It Snow tissue paper stuck to my craft card, my green foiled section, and then I've got my red on red facing the same way as the tissue paper side, and then the black on the other side. So I'm just going to grab my trusty hole punch. It's just like anybody else's, except, oh, there's actually not so much in there tonight, so that's good. That hasn't gone everywhere. Just tip that one out. Now what I'm going to do with these is just line them all up at the top so that they're all kind of together where they're supposed to be, and just try and line them up a little bit better than I have. Okay, let's try this again. Something a little bit sticky on the back of one of those, which is preventing it from being too neat. And then I'm just going to go in and use my hole punch to pop that a fair way in, punch through all 3 at once, and then I'm going to be able to slip one of our ribbons through the top of there, and then that tag, I might add something up in the top corners here, or hang something off the bottom. I haven't decided yet, but that's the first one ready to go. So that's that little guy there. I have managed to kind of make a mess of this one. Now this one I think just needs, I'm just going to keep this one quite plain and just punch my hole in the top. So you've got your side to right on there and you deck the holes there. So I'm just going to again use that hole punch, pop a hole there. And then I'm going to chase down some ribbon. Now in your ribbon selections, there'll be something thicker, 1 or 2, a red one and a brown one. You might only have one of one type of that one. But if you've got the paper raffia ribbon, just keep one of those aside for week 4. If you don't, just keep hold of your tissue paper, because we can actually roll that up to kind of make a raffia and use it for what we're going to do in week 4. But for the moment, just if you can keep one aside, there should be 5 pieces of ribbon or twine in your kits. So just keep one aside, and yeah, that'll be good for the next or two sessions away. So to make my tag completed a little bit, I'm just going to grab, whoopsies, the ribbon and poke it through the holes that I've made. Might have to fold it in half just a little bit to get it through. And then wrap it up and just tuck those back through. This is always the hardest part. And what I want to do is try and get both of those to have the red side coming through and facing the top. There we go. Concentration plus. That was a lot more concentration than I should have needed. Okay. So that, for the moment, is my first tag. I might come back and pop some things up the top, but we'll see how we go. The second one, I'm just going to pop, I think I'm going to keep it in that kind of plainish craft coloured cardstock, natural looking type of thing. So I'm just feeding this string through from the back to the front with the little loop in it, and then just tucking those little ears through and tying it off. So I think that's, you know, depending on what you're doing, what kind of gift you're giving, how you're wrapping the rest of it, there's so many options for what you can be doing. This one, super simple, just a little bit of a wrap around the middle and a white, tag on the back. You could stamp another of your stamps in the middle of that if you wanted to. I think one of my previous ones like this had a Let It Snow in the middle, and you can still fit, you know, to or from, above and below, and go from there. There's also space if you wanted to write, you know, more things to whoever you're giving your card to. There's plenty of real estate in there for you to write in. So that's that one. Super simple. This one again, lots of little layers, and you can, you know, fan them all out as you know, and you know, even if you wanted to pop a little foam square under each one to give it a little bit of dimension and stand it up on your present, you could certainly do that as well. Cool. All right. I think for the moment we're going to stop there with those ones because we are almost at the end of our time that we would normally set aside. I'm happy to keep going for a little bit and go from there, but I do need to clean up my workspace just a little bit so that we can play with some other things. So I'm just going to pop those aside and just jump into a little bit of a shout out. We have this week a couple of people having some birthdays. So one is Rachel. Rachel is one of the 4 Rachels in the group at the moment. She is in Melbourne and she's celebrating a quarter of a century today. So she's not on the live tonight, but she will rewatch it over the next couple of days. So happy birthday to Rachel. And also on Sunday, we've got Mel, who is having a birthday. Mel's having a bigger birthday, but I'm not going to say because, you know, a lady never tells. And yeah, happy birthday for Sunday, Mel. And we, wish you all good vibes and happy times for the rest of the year. Okay, let's get back into the smaller tags. So, okay, I've got some stickers that I really wanted to use on these ones. One being, I've got the Christmas tree there. Got this little guy, which is like a strip. I've got that little gold starry thing. A couple of these little guys. What else have we got? I did have that little scrap of ribbon that I kept, and now I kept it all week, and now I don't know where it's gone. We've got these little sentiments as well that we can pop onto some of these. There's the ribbon. Got it. Ta-da! Okay. Now, of course, don't forget we've got our little gems and jewels as well that you can use to bling these up once you've finished. Okay, so for these ones, we've got, you've obviously got your little, tiny little whites that fit perfectly on these little tags that we'll be able to, you know, you'll be able to pop those on at the very end because they're white, keep them clean for a bit, tuck them off to the side. So for me with this one, what I want to do is I want to use, this gold lovely thing, which in the previous example, I actually made it look like this. So I use, you know, bits off these. So some of you have got these little, they're like little tab stickers and things like that. So I just used one of these ones down the bottom and one of the circle ones, plonked it on top, and there we go. You've also got in your kits the coloured, oopsies, the small coloured squares, rectangles. So, you know, whether the pattern suits something that you want to do with some of the things that you've got, I'm going to go with the this stripe with the red one. I'm going to run it lengthways, so almost like I'm going to wrap it like a present. So I'm going to pop a piece that way and then pop a piece that way, and then I'll put a little sentiment or a greeting somewhere on there. And this one I actually want to put, I don't know where yet, but maybe I want to use that a little bit, but maybe we do put the background in over here. It's really just a matter of playing until you come up with something that you go, oh, that kind of looks kind of okay, and we can pop that in and trim that off and things like that. So I think that's where I'm going with this one. Things might change along the way, so we'll see how we go. And I'll just pop that over there. I might start with this one. So this is just my little, this is going to be my little Christmas present. So I'm just going to take this little spotted strip rather off the backing paper. I'm just going to stick it a little bit over the edge because I can then trim it down. And I'm going to try and put, whoops, I'm not even on camera, pop that quite straight where I can. Flip it over. A little bit of a snip. Get rid of that. And then I'll take what I've got mostly left over. I might keep whatever's left at the end. This little offcut that's there, that little green strip, that's still, I can still use that for things. So don't throw it out unless you're pretty certain that you're not going to need it. Let me tell you, the second project next week is quite heavy in terms of how many things you could actually attach to things. So any spare snippets and things like that will definitely help you out. So I'm just going to fold back that backing paper and trim that down so that that sticker doesn't overhang my little card, and just trim off the other side as well. There we go. Okay, so I've kind of got myself a little present, which is kind of cute. And I can make that quite simple. Glue that onto the card there, flip it over, glue my white card on, and then I can punch a hole in the top of that, and that's a nice, quick, little, cute, easy one to do. Similarly, you might want to use, some of your other bits and pieces to pop onto there, completely up to you. Don't forget that with these tag ones, you can actually cut them down. You don't have to use them as a full tag, or you can use the top half and cover that with something else. So I could do something along those lines using that tag, and it would, still work. Cool. All right, I'm just going to glue this one down. I'm sure in the background you guys are all madly playing with the supplies that you've got and what you're trying to do with things and how you see your piece going. So keep going. Just a little bit of glue on the back of this one. Oops. Quite a few of you said in your initial survey that you're worried about gluing your fingers together. It's just part of the fun. If you don't come out with glue or ink on your hands, you probably haven't had a good enough time. So yeah, keep trying. So with that, I'm just going to lay that down. Because it's got the liquid glue, you are going to be able to sort of wiggle it around into position. So don't panic if you put it down and it's not 100% straight. You do have that little bit of time. And if you haven't put your glue too close to the edge, it won't kind of come washing out and get all over everything else. So I'll do that side. I'll then pop some glue on the back of my white piece of card. Now again, like I've done in the examples, you can pop your stamps onto these and use those. You could make more of the tissue paper to use as part of this second project. I just figured because I've already shown you that technique tonight that, if you want to do that, you'll do it. And you might finish up your projects a little bit after class time today, but that's absolutely okay. You don't have to finish within the class time. So I'm just going to adhere that, pop that up the back there under that acrylic block just so that he can dry for a second. Okay, what to do with this one? This is double-sided, so I could use it this way if I thought that was going to look good. But by the time I pop this over, this gold piece over the top, it doesn't really do much for it. So I don't think I'm going to use it that way. I think it's going to go this way. And when I pop that on there, what do I feel like? What do we feel like? I'm feeling the bells. But then I also do have these. What if I put this little red ribbon across the middle-ish here, but that I put that underneath one of these sentiments when I put it up? Maybe I'll do Jingle All the Way. That looks like a good one. Okay, now we all know how straight we can't cut when we're on camera and when we're getting rushed. So I'm going to slow down today and just try and cut this fairly straight first time. If you've got a paper trimmer, that's definitely the best way to go. You could also use a pencil and a ruler and then a Stanley knife, and that would also get you a decent shape and cut. That's my sentiment. Jingle all the way. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Cool. So I think that's pretty much the layout that I'm going to go with. It's maybe a little bit less feminine than it could be. It's fairly blank. It's a bit more graphic rather than decorative, I suppose. So just something different. What I am going to do though is I'm just going to make a little ribbon end on here. So I'm just going to cut in from the end, just in the middle of this, and then I'm going to go in from either side and make a little flag end. So one of those little arrows in, just because it does stick out over the edge of my tag. So part of me wants to minimize a little bit of that because it will eventually get bent and broken, and also just to make it a little bit of a point of interest rather than it just being another box. So just trimming in from that outside corner to the center. Also got contacts in that I need to get a new prescription for, and I can't quite see when they're this far away. There we go. It's just a little bit of non-precision happening. Yeah, okay, trim that just into there. So that's called flagging the ends. So cut a small section in the middle of your height and then go in from each diagonal corner into there. Of course, if you had a longer amount of cardstock or on this sentiment, then you could actually make it a little bit further away from the ends of each of those words. This time it's just, that's the way it's going to have to be. Cool. So now that I've got all the bits that I think I'm going to use ready to go, I'm just going to flip this over, pop a little bit of glue on here, and it's hard to see because there's dots on the paper as well, so I'm not quite sure if I've got a dot of glue or it's just a dot of paper. I'm just going to hold this up so that I can angle it towards me a little bit, pop it in place, and then just wiggle it around until I get it lined up so it's about the same distance from the sides as it is from the end. Obviously on this end we've got a lot more because we're going to punch a hole in the top of that one. Okay, right, so if I'm going to then layer this up, the gold circle goes next. So again, kind of hangs over just a little bit, so I'm not going to go all the way to the edge on the sides because I don't want my glue to kind of push out on either side when I put it on. So I'm going to pop that there. Again, if you want to keep this gold little shape for the box at the end of the sessions that we need to decorate, by all means do so. Take my little piece of ribbon and pop a couple of dots of glue all the way along there. Now I'm going to pop this one on first because I do want to be able to butt this sentiment right down onto it. and I think I've got a better chance of controlling the cardboard than I do controlling the ribbon. So I'm just going to put this down here a little bit and see how it just kind of sits over the ends. I've got just enough. I'm going to have to trim off that little pointy bit there just to square that up, otherwise it'll drive me bonkers. And make sure that my ribbon is actually straight. There we go. And lastly, just stop banging your head on the light, Tangy. And pop some glue on the back of the black sentiment strip. As we did last time, you could use your foam squares to pop that up and make it a little bit three-dimensional. But what we'll find with the tags is that they do tend to be a little bit better the flatter they can be. And we've already got a fair bit of height with 4 layers of cardboard stacked on top of each other there. So that's where I'm going to leave that one. So it almost looks like a little bit of a label off a jar. It's a jar of olives that I'm going to give somebody for Christmas. Beautiful. How's everybody else doing with theirs? I'm going to just fix while I look over at the comments. Just pop my white panel on the back so that there's somewhere for people to write to or from, whoever gets this lovely tag on their Christmas present. Going okay, there's no comments. People have obviously got their heads down and their fingers working, so that's good. Okay. And that's that one done. I'm just going to pop that up there and stick that block on. I'm just going to use my hole punch again to try and line up in the center of the top of the tag. Come down here and just pop a hole in. It was almost straight. I did pretty well. Just grab this one back out and do the topper while I'm at it. There we go. Okay, so it's time for me to find some ribbon. Pardon me. I've got this really huge one that I'm happy to use, and I might use this papery raffia on this one. So again, pop the loop through from the back of your tag to the front, pull it up to the top, and whoopsies, pop that through. There we go. Muck around with it for a bit. Now this paper is really good because you can, the raffia, you can kind of undo it and make it big and fancy, or you could write extra things on there if you wanted to, or you could open it up and stamp on it before you turn it back into your strings. We're going to do something a little bit similar to this with the tissue paper for the final project, so we'll get a bit of a go at that kind of thing, but this might be good practice for you. Now this one, because it's such a thick piece of ribbon, I am going to have to fold it where I want it, and then you almost have to roll it from the sides into a bit of a, almost like it's not like a rope, but just to make it kind of tight and small enough to go through that hole. There we go. Don't try and just wedge it through, because you'll end up tearing around the outside of your hole punch, and then it'll probably start to look a bit terrible. Let's see how you go. All right. There we go. Cool. So I'm kind of pretty happy with these. These turned out to be, fairly just single one dimension, and there we go. I've also got things like this little guy that I cut out from one of my wrapping papers. So I just fussy cut that. So the fussy cutting is just when you cut around the edges of something that's, not just a plain circle that you could use a punch or whatever for. So he could probably even, maybe he could go on there. I might think about that. Might pop him on there at some point. It's a bit hard now. If I'd put the ribbon in a slightly different spot, I probably could have made that work, but I might leave him off for the moment. But don't be afraid to fussy cut things like that out. I mean, certainly off my wrapping papers, I could have got, a snowman cut out. I could have used some of these little round circles. The owl, I'm absolutely mental about owls, so I should have done that, but oh well, maybe somebody will be kind enough to make me one. Or the Santa, you know, you can cut sections of the Santa, and even if nobody knows that it's meant to be a full thing around the corner, but you could cut that out like that, and even that could have gone onto one of those kind of tags quite nicely. So it just depends. I'm sure if you've got some wrapping paper there, you've had a bit of a play with that kind of stuff. This one I found was really great, and certainly could have cut words out of that and used them, or stuck them onto a piece of card, kind of like we did with the other one, and then just layered things up over the top. That would certainly have made a nice background as well. So there's tons of stuff you can do, particularly for gift tags, with lots of little things. Once you've kind of done this, I don't think you'll ever go back to those little cutout tags that come with the wrapping paper. That is just, almost like those perforated ones where you just tear them apart. And it's like, here's a pre-printed tag. Or even the stickers that you can get and you just whack them on. This is kind of fun. If you do it with a couple of family members or a couple of friends, it takes no time at all to kind of cut some tag shapes and make some tags. And you can decorate them any which way you want. There's tons of products out there that you can use to, buy stickers or embellishments that you can use to pop on. Obviously, you've still got things like your jewels that you could stick on those as well, and go from there. So hopefully you find a really good use for these tags. Definitely 4 of your presents this year are going to look a little bit nicer than the others. So choose carefully who you give them to, because when people see a handmade tag, they do go a little bit crazy. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to pop this one up. So next week we do have 2 sessions. So one is on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And the other one is on Friday, the 23rd of October at 2 p.m. In the afternoon. Now, some cool things about those is that the Tuesday one, I'm actually going to pre-record this weekend. So that's just for my own learning. And it means I'll be able to kind of maybe type a few more things into the chat. So if anyone's got any more questions that they would like to ask, I'll certainly be there to answer those. The other thing is I need to learn how to kind of do that record it and then upload it separately. It's a bit different to the live streams that I've been doing, so that down the track, if there's things that are on, for example, if I'm at a trade show on the day that a class is normally, if I've got it scheduled for, every Thursday, and on Thursday night I've got something on, I can pre-record it and upload it, and people can still get that experience. So there's no interruption. You don't have to change the day that you would normally, expect everybody to be, online. So I'm going to do that one. The Friday the 23rd at 2 p.m, I'm actually going to try to stream it to both Facebook and YouTube. So we think our internet's strong enough to do that, and the settings that we've got to put into the system does take a little bit of mucking around, but I do think that we'll be able to do that. So that's coming. The other thing I wanted to do now, if anyone's got any questions, now's probably the time to jump on and ask. I'm just going to bring you back to me. Hello. So yeah, I'll wrap things up. The survey for tonight's session will go out this evening. There's been a few people that haven't responded. I think I've got 12 out of 17 responses to the first one. So if you haven't finished off your survey and pop that through, please, if you don't think you've got the survey, send me an email at info@papercraftingaustralia.com, and I will send the link out to you again. But do check your spam and junk folders, because if you haven't added the email addresses to your contacts, it may end up in your spam or junk. So have a bit of a look there. But it's super important that I can get the feedback from you guys. That is the whole point of me putting this out. It's fantastic to get the feedback, and I love that you guys are having so much fun with the kits, but it was a significant cost for me, and the payback for that is getting the feedback. So if you don't watch the shows and then make the products, show me in the photos what you did and fill in that survey, then we're kind of not on an even keel there. So if you can do that, it would be really, really appreciated, and will definitely help me to grow. I am trying to implement things from the feedback every session, and I know for, there's a couple of days in between each one, so it gives people a few days to kind of catch up if you missed it. And I understand life gets in the way and you can't be at everyone, and I certainly don't want you to be at everyone if you can't. It is good to know that if you are watching it later, that you're able to follow the tutorial and make something and show me what you made. It just means that I know that although I can waffle and go a little bit off track, that you can kind of, find some things and either copy exactly what I'm doing or use your own initiative and creativity and make something. So it really does show me, how things are working. So that's super important. If you can jump onto Facebook once you've finished with your masterpieces tonight, tomorrow, whenever you happen to get to them, and under the under the photos tab, you'll find a photo album that's got a photo of the gift tags from tonight's photos, and you'll be able to pop a comment under there with your photos in there. Please say hi to everybody else and, kind of give them some feedback on theirs. It's just as much a learning experience for some of you to know what looks good and, that people really go, oh, that'd be lovely to get on a gift. That would be great. A little bit of support and community goes a long way. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty much done and dusted for tonight. So no questions in the chat for me. I'm getting out of here scot-free, off to have a steak dinner. Looking forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday at 10 a.m. If you're around, for those who are working, certainly jump in after work on Tuesday or Wednesday and have a good go at the next bunch of cards. Thanks so much. See you.